Hi, I'm Dana, and when I was 16, I met a 21-year-old man that I thought was being very nice to me, that I liked a lot, and began a relationship with him that then lasted 8 whole years. And during those 8 years, he was very emotionally abusive and made me feel really awful about lots and lots and lots of things. And I developed my personality while being in an abusive relationship. And it took me another year after breaking up with him to get around to moving out. And during that year, I was in another quite toxic relationship with somebody else. And I feel like now is the first time in my whole entire life that I'm actually kind of settled and calm. I have definitely had a lot of the fight or flight instinct, just constantly sat there, just constant sort of survival mode type of thing. But I feel like it's kind of taken me a lot of time to process that, I'm out of that situation. I don't have to deal with that person again. I am my own person. I get to make my own decisions, and everything's on me now. And at first, that was terrifying, and it's slowly getting easier. And I feel like I'm slowly getting more of a grip on my life and who I am as a person, as someone outside of an abusive relationship, as a adult autistic person, the whole shebang. So that was a very long and slightly dark intro to explain that I decided I was going to take a week, now that I'm feeling a lot more calm and a lot settled and a lot more I'm not constantly waiting for something horrible to happen, to take a week to just try and sort of heal and reconnect with myself in a very isolated autistic kind of way. So I spent this entire week just reading and watching stuff and playing the odd little bit of music and just trying to have a nice little time. And it doesn't sound like it should be a big deal, but it honestly was a very, very big deal for me, because a large amount of the emotional abuse that I went through was focused around the idea of me being lazy, me not being good enough, me not doing enough, not being enough, just everything about me not being enough or being wrong in some way. So I lived a life that was entirely catered around the man that I was with and making sure that he was happy, because his happiness and validation then meant that I wasn't useless and I wasn't a complete waste of time and waste of space. And it's all stuff that I really very much internalized, and it's only now that I feel safe again that I feel like I'm able to actually open up some of those wounds and work on it and think about things and actually focus on starting to try to heal and starting to try to reconnect with the person I actually am. Because I met him when I was 16. I'm 26 now, and I feel like I lost the vast, vast majority of things that sort of make me who I am and make me the way that I was. Because the way that I am now has been shaped by that relationship and by that person. And I don't like that. I want it to be shaped by me and my experiences. And obviously that is one of my experiences. But it's not the experience that I want to be the main focus of my personality. I don't want to be someone who is entirely shaped by trauma. So for me, one of the big ways that I've tried to sort of reconnect with myself and get back to my roots kind of thing was thinking about what I enjoyed as a teenager, when I didn't have that same panic and fear of not doing enough and not being productive enough, and him telling me off for not being productive enough and not doing enough and making me feel like I'm completely worthless. So much of my self-worth is based on my productivity, both because of the way that that person treated me and the way that he made me feel, and also just because of the society that we live in, where if you're not productive, you are worthless and a waste of space and whatever else. His abuse was backed up by societal pressures in a way that is massively, massively settled into a part of who I am now, I think. And things like reading, things like just watching TV and doing a little craft were things where he was like, why aren't you doing something? Why are you basically being useless? Why aren't there's lots of things around the house that could be getting done and you're just doing that. Never mind that he sat and played games for 6 hours straight or whatever, It was that I hadn't done it. And as you can imagine, or maybe not, I don't know, the thing is, that led to me just experiencing huge amounts of anxiety and discomfort while trying to do things that I enjoy. If something doesn't feel like it has a purpose, I don't feel like I should be doing it a lot of the time. Like, I'll give that, like, me not reading so often is not entirely because of that relationship. A lot of it is, like, I fell out of love with reading. I didn't find the kind of books that I wanted to read. Like, there were lots of other things woven into that. But some of it is also that if I was just sat reading a book, he'd be like, why aren't you doing anything? Do this instead. This needs doing. You could be doing this. You know, I wasn't allowed to just sit down and enjoy reading in the way that I have been lately, as you can see in this video, and in the way that I did as a teenager. So I tried my best to make sure I was actually covering my daily needs, like eating and dressing appropriately for the weather and the like. That's me figuring out that my posture looked disgusting on camera, but that's just the way my posture is. I realised that I should probably be telling you, like, more about what's actually going on in the video, but I feel like it's fairly self-explanatory. You can see what's going on. You know, I'm reading, I'm making my scarf on my little loom thing while watching Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. In a minute, you'll see me go on a little walk and play a bit of Pathfinder. I did see some friends. You know, this week was very much spent trying to, like, reconnect with myself, but also figuring out how to work that into my current lifestyle and maintain the things that I enjoy about how I'm living right now, and just adding to it rather than, you know, completely changing everything. I don't like change. And there's lots of things that I've managed to, like, implement into my life that I haven't thought about as, like, my healing journey or whatever, but kind of realistically have been, because they've been big steps towards me being able to, like, feel more soothed and less anxious about things, and feeling able to trust people and connect with people more and things like that. You know, a lot of, like, the healing stuff that I've been on thus far has been sort of just settling. It's been getting rid of the constant lump at the back of my throat and, like, sat in my chest, and the constant tension. So it's been tougher than I think I've fully processed so far, honestly. And I'm really, really glad that I've gotten to this fun part where I can start, like, if you've watched my other videos, you'll have heard all about the Half Moon Hollow books. I've now also read the Naked Werewolf series. So I've read, I want to say, like, 21 books in the last, like, 3 weeks or so. I haven't done that in over a decade. And more importantly, I've really, really enjoyed reading. I haven't, you know, like, for several years now when I've read, I've had to make a thing out of it and gone and sit in a coffee shop or a park if the weather's nice, and have it be, like, a big treat event after being productive. And it feels so nice, and, like, such a reconnection to, like, my teenage self to have been able to just sit and read and consume this book series and really enjoy every fucking moment of it, and not have this constant anxiety sitting on my chest of, like, you should be doing something, like, actually productive, something useful. Why are you just sitting here reading a book when, like, you're not even learning anything from it? Like, it's a fictional book. Like, there's no knowledge to be gained from this, there's no wisdom to be earned, you know, and those aren't my opinions, those are the opinions of my ex. But that's what happens when that kind of abuse happens to you, because it sinks in, it's internalized, and you trust that they're trying to, like, do the right thing for you and whatever else. Talking quickly about the video though, this shot, I know it's not the prettiest of shots, but it looked so pretty in real life with the way the sky looked and everything, and there was just this, like, low-hanging cloud of smoke from, like, the last barbecues of the summer kind of vibe. And yeah, and honestly, I think one of, like, the biggest things that has helped me, like, heal without me even realising it has very much been just very casual, usual, normal to them hangouts with my friends. Oh, really quickly, there was, like, there was, like in Sherlock when there's, like, a mist, like, hovering around the ground. Hanging out with friends was just on camera, but you can't really see, you know, as much as I did enjoy it, it was also incredibly, incredibly stressful, because either they didn't like my ex and he didn't like them, and, like, I lived with him and he was my boyfriend and he was the love of my life and whatever else. So I didn't like that my friends didn't like him. I didn't like that he didn't like my friends, because I trusted his opinion and was like, well, what's wrong with them then? When it was very much the other way round, and there was something wrong with him. But if he did like my friends, then we had the other side where he would get very, very jealous. But he couldn't just say, like, oh, I'm jealous of you having good friends, that makes me sad. You know, he had to do the whole, like, oh, I'm so sad I don't have friends like that. Am I not a good enough person? Why don't people like me? So every time I went and hung out with friends, I would get home and have, like, an hour and a half to 2 hours of having to comfort this full-grown man because he can't connect with people due to his complete lack of empathy and just generally being a horrible person. So there was always this sort of like underlayer to it where it felt like he was questioning why I would have friends and why people would like me if he can't make friends and people don't like him. And I already had enough issues of my own being like, why do these people like me? Why am I like this? What's wrong with me? I said this thing, I did this thing, I'm so embarrassing, I'm so anxious and humiliated and embarrassed of the person that I am and the person that like I exist as and am perceived as. And to then have someone else given like the implication of like, yeah, you are really weird and unlikable. Why do people like you? Why do people want to be your friends and hang out with you? I'm the only person that could ever put up with you kind of vibe. And it's therefore the first time in 10 years that I've been able to hang out with people and not have some sort of like dread of going home or general like outside force that's also asking why do these people like me, why do these people want to be my friends. And I definitely still get like the niggles of it from my own like insecurities and mental health and trauma and past friendships that I've had that have gone wrong or whatever else, but it's a hell of a lot easier to push down and deal with when you haven't got someone else that's like vocally giving you the like validation of like, no, you're absolutely right to worry about those things, I'm thinking them too, maybe everyone else is, maybe it's all true and correct, because it's not just my anxiety thoughts anymore, like someone else has vocalized it and said it and thinks the same thing. So it's been quite a big realization for me that a lot of the things that I've had a lot of anxiety about, and you know, a lot of the time it would be a case of like I'd be doing something or want to do something or be about to do something, and I would get this like sudden like rush of anxiety and be like, why am I anxious? What's going to happen? What's going to go wrong? Am I anxious about this? Am I anxious about the cats? Am I anxious about this? And I found it very, very difficult to put my finger on what I might be anxious about. And it's through doing this sort of like, you know, I don't feel like I've been doing work per se. I feel like I've very much just sort of like relaxed and allowed myself to relax and process things and be a person without like constantly trying to like race to the next thing and shove this thing down. And, you know, I've just sort of let myself exist a little bit and process things. And being able to very specifically put my finger on, like, no, I'm anxious because I've spent 8 years being made to feel like I'm about to be screamed at or told off or otherwise looked down upon or made to feel bad about something. If I do these things, if I indulge in the hobbies that I enjoy and the things that make me the person that I am, because the person that I'm in love with and that's meant to be in love with me didn't like those things about me and shouldn't have fucking been with me because didn't like me, like, duh. But when your entire world becomes one person and they very clearly don't like you and don't like the things that you do and don't see them as being valid, don't see them as being like fruitful or necessary or in any way having any sort of point, like it's just everything you actively enjoy doing is just some dumb stupid little thing that you fucking like and you're just an idiot for liking it anyway. You know, when that is your entire world, and like I it's one of those things where I'm always like, God, why did I let that happen? Why didn't I like talk to anyone? Why didn't I, you know, you don't, because they don't let you. Like I said, like 2 minutes ago, I didn't feel like I was able to go out and make friends because it made him sad, it made him feel bad. So I didn't want to make the person that I love feel bad. So I just, a lot of the time, didn't see people and didn't speak to people and didn't make friends. And then when I would, it would all go wrong anyway. So he very much worked on having my entire world be him and his opinion. And then suddenly, like, the entire world is telling you that you don't behave like normal people do, and you're actually really weird and you're really annoying, and everything about you is actually kind of boring or stupid or lame or dumb or just otherwise like cringeworthy in some way. And the added layer of that of having somebody who's older than you and who, you know, I very much saw as like the cool older guy, like he's such a grown up and he knows so much better than I do, and I'm gonna be able to learn so much from him. And then he's willing to teach you, and he's teaching you that everything about you is just like inherently wrong, and you don't know how to be a person, and you're the lamest human being to have ever existed. For the longest time, I didn't realise that that was what was happening. And then for a very long time, it made me very, very, very sad because I'd put years and years and years of effort into this guy and trying to make him happy and trying to make him like me. And it hadn't worked. And that made me really, really fucking sad. And then I was just so entirely focused on, you know, like I had my girlfriend at the time that explained, like, this dude's abusive. And then once I'd gotten out of that abusive relationship and educated myself and healed a little bit, I was like, oh, and you're really toxic. So then I broke up with her. And it's kind of the first time in my life that I've allowed myself, or I don't know, because growing up, I was not allowed to be angry. If I was angry for any reason, if I was even a little bit annoyed, I got sent to my bedroom and told to come back when I'd calmed down and was over it. So I don't know if it's the first time in my life that I've like allowed myself to feel anger, or if it's just the first time that it's like come up for me, honestly, because I don't feel like I get angry very often. I get annoyed, I get frustrated. I don't feel like it's irregular or common or really just like a particularly like, ingrained thing for me. Like, I don't feel like anger's really something that I feel. But the last maybe like month or two, I felt quite a lot of anger at a lot of my past, honestly. I felt a lot of anger towards people just being like, why would you treat someone like that? Like it's not even like so much anger on my own behalf, even though some of it definitely is, because I'm nicer to myself and like myself more, and I'm like, people shouldn't be mean to me. But there's a whole lot of my anger comes entirely from the fact of like, I don't know why anybody would treat somebody like that. I don't know why anyone would say this thing like this person said to me, or do this thing in this way, whatever else. And it makes me very, very angry. And especially looking back on like what I saw at the time to be like innocent conversations, that looking back, I can see that he was manipulating me like massively to get what he wanted with no concern for my well being or what I wanted or the consequences of any of it. Very just in the moment, this is what I want, this is what I'm gonna do to someone to make sure I get it. And it's risen this like real like stomach churning, like heart racing, like it makes my chest feel hot type of anger towards like everyone that's done that to me. And I always thought that being angry would make me very,
Yeah, I've just sent an email.
I don't know, I thought it'd be a very negative thing because like I had like a short period of anger as a teenager where I got sent to my room all the time and my parents just told me off for being angry, and it was just this constant like wanting to punch something and not knowing what to do with it, and it made me a bit of a bitch to everyone around me. I was very snappy, I was very short with people, I didn't have any patience, and I definitely don't want to be like that again. So I'm quite relieved that this time around, when this anger feels like it's been like lit within me, it feels very much pushed at like spiting people. I don't know if that's the right term. It's like I've been posting every single day to TikTok because my ex told me that my TikTok was a bit cringe, and now I'm like, I'm gonna have thousands of followers and thousands of people that view my TikToks, and you're gonna look at that and be like, oh, you're a bit cringe though. No one else thinks it, bitch. Like it's something that I wanted to do and that I knew would benefit me, and I'm using the anger to actually prompt myself and motivate myself to do the thing. And that goes with like everything you see in this video. Like, is it the healthiest way to go about things? No, probably not. Is it what's working for me right now? Yes. It's something that I will move on from, but I'm going to like take what I can get from it while it's happening. And it's useful, like I say, I've read a whole bunch of books that I really, really enjoyed reading, and it felt like a real reconnection to like my younger teen self that loved reading and like lost herself in the books that she had. I fully felt like I was like fucking 16 again without all this added trauma, and that was beautiful, that was lovely, it was so nice. I'm so glad that I've been able to like use that anger and it to like turn it into like a spitefulness to be like, no, fuck you. I'm not going to do anything all fucking week. I'm gonna read my little book and watch my little show and have a nice fucking time. And there is not a single person that can tell me not to, that can tell me I'm not being productive enough. There is, like, my friends could say it, but they wouldn't, number one. And if they did, number two, at this point in my life, I'd be like, so? Who the fuck are you? Like, go do your own thing then if you think mine's useless. I'm doing this. And yeah, I don't think it's something that's healthy to do like long term. But I think that right now, when I'm sort of rediscovering myself and rediscovering my hobbies and what I enjoy and who I am as a person, I think that it's healthy to do what works, and that is what's working for me. I think the unhealthy part of it, if any of it is like particularly unhealthy, is that I'm definitely using some degree of that anger to like push through the sadness of like, I lost like nearly 10 years. Like, I may have only been in the relationship for 8, but I lived with him for 9 years. And I moved out like a month before my 26th birthday, so it was very nearly like exactly 10 years of him being in my life and being abusive and shitty and making me feel bad. And that makes me very sad. It makes me very sad that he was prepared to spend that much of his life trying to make me into something that I'm not. It makes me very sad that someone would rather spend that time trying to make me into something that I'm not than accept me for who I am and try to like me for the way that I am and the things that I like, and, respect the things that I like. And especially now that I have friends where, like, some of my friends are vastly, vastly different to me and have very different interests and likes and things like that. And I love it for them. I would never try and make them feel like stupid or useless or like they like something really lame just because it's not something that I have in common with them and it's not something I enjoy. And I really, in some ways I've given up asking and I'm like, it's because he's an asshole. And there's other ways in which I'm just like, why would you do that to a person? Like, I still have a lot of questions like that regarding the abuse, to be honest, because I'm such a fucking people pleaser and I really desperately wanted to make him happy and get his validation. I did everything I could to be the perfect person, and it still wasn't enough. And I'm like, what the fuck did you want? Like, I was trying so hard to give you whatever you wanted, and in 8 years you couldn't tell me what you wanted. Like, I think there's always gonna be some shit like that where, like, I don't understand people being intentionally unkind. I don't understand people intentionally fucking other people over to get what they want, regardless of other people's feelings and emotions and lives. And maybe it's for the best that I'm never going to understand that because I never want to be like that. And I'd like to know because I like knowing the whys behind things, but I don't think it honestly really actually would help me anyway. So, yeah, that was some thoughts on this little week that I've shown you here. I'm aware that the vast majority of it is me just staring at a screen. That was what I did. I would have much rather had the physical copies of the books and been able to go and sit in like aesthetic places or whatever. But I didn't have the physical copies of the books. I didn't want to let that be another thing that stopped me and held me back. So this is how we've done it. And now that we're drawing to the end of the vlog, I will, as always, ask you to please like and subscribe because I post on Sundays and Thursdays. It'd be lovely if you wanted to follow me on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter. And you can also donate money to me by becoming a YouTube member or a Patreon member or also on Ko-fi. And all of those things will be linked down below in the little drop bar thing. So please do follow me. Please, if you have money and want to donate, you can do, but cost of living crisis, none of us have got an awful lot of money. I get it, it's fine, you don't have to. Big thank you to everyone that has though, because there's been quite a few of you. And also, if you've recently become a Patreon, I am going to update my little background end screen thing here soon to include your name. I'm just getting round to it because I had an iPad when I did that and I don't have the iPad now, and it's a bit of a thing, so we're getting round to that. Your name will be added onto there. It's just taking me a very hot minute, okay? Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you're having a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year, and I will see you again in a couple of days.